the modern era, we are often told that data is the new oil. It is the fuel that powers the global economy and the currency of the 21st century. But unlike oil, data is personal. It is the digital reflection of who we are. Whilst we go about our daily lives, working, dreaming, and connecting, there are invisible giants watching us from the shadows of the internet. These giants are known as data brokers. They don't build cars and they don't grow food. Their only product is us. One of the biggest players in this shadow industry was a company called National Public Data, or NPD. For decades, NPD operated in the background, quietly building a massive, terrifying library of our lives. They were the architects of our digital identities, and they knew your full name, every address you've ever called home for the last 30 years, your phone numbers, your family connections, and the most sensitive piece of information any person possesses, your social security number. To them, you weren't a human being with a story. You were a file, a record to be bought, sold, and traded for background checks and risk assessments. But in late 2023, the walls of this massive library began to crumble in a way that would change cybersecurity history forever. The nightmare began in December 2023 when a notorious hacking group known in the dark corners of the internet as US DoD set their sights on national public data. Now you might imagine a high-tech war with flashing green screens and complex codes. But the reality is much more embarrassing and far more human. The hackers didn't need a master key to break in. They simply found a side door that had been left unlocked by mistake. A small forgotten vulnerability in a secondary website linked to the company provided the perfect entry point. This was their initial access. It wasn't a genius move. It was simply finding a mistake that someone had forgotten to fix. Once they were inside, the hackers didn't trigger any alarms. They moved like ghosts through the internal servers, jumping from one system to another, a process we call lateral movement. They were looking for the crown jewels, the heart of the database, where the most sensitive information was stored. And what they found there is what truly makes this a horror story for the IT world. In a multi-million-dollar company responsible for the data of billions, they discovered that the admin credentials, the master usernames, and passwords for their entire network were stored in a simple, unprotected text file. In our world, we call this plaintext. It means there was no encryption, no hashing, and no layers of protection. It is the ultimate sin in cybersecurity. It's the equivalent of buying $1 billion safe and then leaving the combination written on a sticky note right on the handle for any thief to see. To make this disaster even more catastrophic, the company had ignored the most basic security rule of modern times. They had no multi-factor authentication or MFA. There was no second lock, no secret code sent to a phone, and no fingerprint check. With those plain text passwords, the hackers became the absolute masters of the kingdom. Then began the long, cold, and silent process of data exfiltration. Over several months, from the end of 2023 into early 2024, the hackers slowly drained the servers. They didn't take everything at once to avoid being caught by network traffic monitors. They took their time, stealing a staggering 2.9 billion records. Think about that number for a moment. That is nearly half the population of the entire planet. This wasn't just a list of names. It was a gold mine for identity theft. They stole the records of the living and even the deceased, creating a permanent threat for millions of families that will last for decades. By April 2024, the secret could no longer be kept. The hackers appeared on the dark web, offering the entire stolen database for a price tag of $3.5 million. They boasted about their achievement, mocking the company for its lack of security. The panic that followed was immediate and global. When cybersecurity